But at the end,
Hello and welcome to my channel,
see-
Blue Snakes and More. Today we're reacting to the Reptile Enclosure Build-Off Championship Part 1 by Snake Discovery.
Human civilization. Their item from home was a pump and light that they turned into an active rain chamber. Their challenge item was a rubber boot, which they tied into their theme by replicating a discarded item on the jungle floor. It also doubles as a way to conceal the pump. This piece was built to be a centerpiece in your home, while also allowing you to voting based on what you really think is the best enclosure. So without further ado, let me introduce to you the 10 final builds at the Snake Discovery Build-Off Championship.
Video of its own, don't you?
This player made a Southeast Asian jungle. The idea is that you're laying on the forest floor, you're looking around, and besides having mosquitoes all over you, they wanted you to have an authentic experience. They wanted to make it both beautiful, but also functional, considering someone will win this enclosure and want to put something in it. So this was built to work with a wide variety of animals, including dart frogs, rhino rat snakes, or even garter snakes. It also has to replicate their natural habitat, so their item from home was a pickle jar, which used to contain the pickles you often see in the rainforest. Their challenge item was the letter H, which was turned into a platform to hold a Spanish moss nest. This could be used to place feeder eggs for the animal being kept inside, or just as a ledge for enrichment. This player replicated a more deciduous forest, such as from the northeast, and their item from home was their backdrop. They took a photo while on the forest floor and replicated the depth of being in the forest from the perspective of a reptile on the ground. This enclosure was intended for box turtles, but could be used for a wide variety of species, including corn snakes, king snakes, milk snakes, dart frogs, or even a marbled salamander. It's bioactive, it has nooks and crannies, so the animal feels safe and secure, and if you don't see your animal in it all the time, that means you're probably doing a good job. Their challenge item was a Tiki Man, which they disguised as a log that's always watching you from within the forest. This player has a newly found fascination with curly-tailed lizards and created a Caribbean-themed enclosure for them. They incorporated various hidden treasures around the enclosure, including a treasure chest containing their challenge item, which was the measuring cup. First, they used it to pour epoxy, and then they ground it up and added it to the treasure trove. Their item from home was a pirate ship set that is seen throughout the Caribbean scene. Using forced perspective, their pirate ship appears to be drifting through in the distance. This player created an enclosure that's themed around their mentors in conservation. You'll find Jane Goodall, Steve Irwin, and David Attenborough, among others. They created a scene where Steve Irwin comes to Snake Discovery and visits Rex in the zoo. Their challenge item was a football, which they cut the end off of to replicate Rex's jolly ball, and the rest was used as a hide. Their item from home was an acrylic replication of Snake Discovery's turtle tank and Rex's enclosure, in addition to an acrylic display of their mentors and a 3D printed waterfall. There are several hides, many plants, springtails, and isopods to make this a fully bioactive enclosure, complete with actual water from Snake Discovery's turtle tank.
I'm looking at stuff for.
This player created the Upside Down from Stranger Things. They flicked glow-in-the-dark paint to replicate the spores floating in the air in the Upside Down. You'll also notice that the trees are growing down from the ceiling of the enclosure, as well as the Demigorgon front and center, which was their item from home. They built this enclosure for nocturnal geckos such as gargoyle geckos. Their challenge item was a glass sculpture, which they painted with glow-in-the-dark paint and turned into the portal to the Upside Down. Using vines, they also created the Mind Flare, which has escaped and now resides on top of the enclosure.
So it's based off of season 3.
This player wanted to create a space to interact with an animal. Although being an enclosure for a chameleon came to mind, they actually set it up as a play station for your pet at home. They wanted to bring a sense of nature into the home. The theme of the build is about nature reclaiming human civilization. Their item from home was a pump and light that they turned into an active rain chamber. Their challenge item was a rubber boot, which they tied into their theme by replicating a discarded item on the jungle floor. It also doubles as a way to conceal the pump. This piece was built to be a centerpiece in your home, while also allowing you to enjoy your reptile outside of its home.
They know what TTG stands for, probably, if they're DC
This player
fans.
created a scene from the movie Anaconda.
That
They
Henry
brought a
used to watch
custom-made
in
replica
14
of the houseboat
ago.
from Anaconda,
And then
which
we're
you can
gonna watch
imagine
the
J-Lo and Ice
original
Cube on the deck with John
Bear
Voight terrorizing them, soon to be
Season
eaten by a
episode
giant
1 to
anaconda. They focused on
episode
recreating
5.
the denseness of the Amazon
get to
jungle
it.
based on personal experience. Their challenge
So,
item
yeah, I
was
have
the
a
Home
whole
Sweet
list of
Home
people
sign,
here.
which they flipped
And
over to
then,
use as a dock for the boat.
the first
They utilized
movie.
over 20 plants, springtails, and isopods, and
Teen
built this
Titans,
enclosure for a rainbow boa,
the
which is the closest relative
Judas
to the anaconda.
Contract. which is introducing her to the DC.
This player created the forests of
animated
Princess
movie
Mononoke.
kinda
You'll find the forest spirit watching
reintroducing her
over
to
you
the
and
DC
protecting the
animated
land
movie
as the sun
universe.
sets, and the appearance of kodamas, which is a sign of a healthy forest. If you can see them and hear their heads clicking, you know you have a healthy
And
forest.
also
This
just
enclosure
for
is fully
fun, so
bioactive
she
with
can get more
springtails,
Harley.
isopods, and live plants. It was
I
intended
think
for both
Harley's in this
fossorial
one.
animals and arboreal
It's
animals,
Suicide
such as
Squad.
tree skinks, pink-tongued
But I don't
skinks,
know if
or
she's
perhaps a
actually
blue-tongued
in
skink.
the.
There
Yeah,
are
she's in
several
the
hides
movie.
with
Okay.
a large water dish in the
Suicide
center.
Squad.
Their
Okay.
item from home were the
Will be the
Kodama
next
twinkle
movie.
lights, and their challenge
Let me
item was
watch,
the
but we
weird
take
coat hanger
notes on
thing,
Lover.
which was embedded into the background for use as a cup holder, plant holder, or trellis for a climbing plant. Plus, check it out at night. That's just cool. After dreaming about a place called Hog Heaven, this player designed their enclosure to be for a hog-nosed snake, specifically an albino one to match the red and white theme of the enclosure. Their item from home was a toy farm set, and their challenge item was a basket which they disassembled to create the pig pen around the farm. They used moss to replicate tumbleweeds around the farm, and painted their background with puffy white clouds in the sky to give the feeling of being in the Midwest. It's a bioactive enclosure with isopods and springtails, and all structures and decor are movable for cleaning. And last but not least, this player's build was inspired by Chinese mythology. The tale of the Dragon Gate is a legend where there's a dragon gate at the top of a mountain where carp swim upstream, and if they jump over the gate, they turn into a dragon.
Of course,
Since this is what inspired
Japanese mythology. She's over here thinking, of course, Japanese mythology
Dragon Gate, which they
is
turned
what
into
gets you
a
to
fountain
get
using
back to
various
attention
decor.
after
Their
the
challenge
Stranger
item was a
Things.
bamboo container, which they used as a planter to fit with their theme, as the enclosure was built with a bamboo rat snake in mind, which is a species native to China. And there you go. As you can see, all of the players did a fantastic job on their builds. Each and every one is amazing. And now it is time for you to go vote right now on your favorite enclosure before you even know who built which one. And stay tuned. This Friday's video will be part...
Bye-bye.